Grievance. GCR 1.00 Authority. GCR 1.01 The Grievance Committee is a permanent committee pursuant to Article 16, Section 1, of the U.S. Figure Skating Bylaws. GCR 2.00 Responsibility and Jurisdiction. GCR 2.01 The Grievance Committee is responsible for maintaining and administering the various grievance and hearing rules and processes provided under U.S. figure skating bylaws and rules and providing standard hearing and complaint procedures for resolving grievances in a prompt and equitable manner for its members. GCR 2.02 The Grievance Committee has jurisdiction over a. All grievances filed under Article 25 of the U.S. figure skating bylaws. B. All disciplinary proceedings brought under Article 25 of the U.S. figure skating bylaws. GCR 2.03 Once a grievance has been filed or a disciplinary proceeding initiated in accordance with applicable U.S. figure skating bylaws or rules, the respondents may not cause themselves to be removed or excused from the grievance or disciplinary proceeding, as the case may be, by resigning their U.S. figure skating memberships. GCR 3.00 Initiating grievance proceedings. GCR 3.01 The grievance process is started by filing a grievance statement with the Grievance Committee Chair. A grievance statement may be filed by either a member or a member club. The grievance statement must be written, signed under oath, notarized, and include a. The name of the party filing the grievance, the grievant. b. The grievance address, telephone number and U.S. figure skating registration number. c. The name of the party against whom the grievance is brought, the respondent. d. The respondent's address, telephone number and, if known, the U.S. figure skating registration number. e. The name, address and telephone numbers of any other party involved. f. The U.S. figure skating bylaw or rule allegedly violated. g. A clear and concise statement of facts explaining the alleged violation, including all relevant dates. h. A statement certifying that the grievant attempted to resolve the matter and a description of the specific actions the grievant took to resolve the matter, and I. The action the grievant wishes taken. j. The grievant may attach supporting documentation to the grievance statement. k. The grievant must pay a $225 filing fee to U.S. figure skating when the grievance is filed. If the grievance is not accepted, the filing fee will be refunded. GCR 3.02 Receipt of Grievance Statement by Grievance Committee Chair. a. The Grievance Committee Chair reviews the grievance statement after it has been filed to determine 1. Whether the allegations, ill-believed, establish a violation of U.S. figure skating bylaws or rules. 2. Whether the grievance statement complies with applicable U.S. figure skating bylaws. 3. Whether the grievance hearing panel has the authority to grant the relief requested. b. If the grievance statement alleges violations of the U.S. Figure Skating Code of Ethics or U.S. Figure Skating Code of Conduct, the Grievance Committee Chair must promptly forward the grievance statement to the Ethics Committee Chair and the appropriate Vice President for action in accordance with applicable U.S. figure skating bylaws and rules. c. If the Grievance Committee Chair determines that the grievance statement complies with all applicable requirements, the Grievance Committee Chair shall, within 2 weeks of receipt of the grievance statement, 1. Notify the grievant, the respondent, the President, Secretary and Administrative, Legal Group Coordinator of U.S. Figure Skating of acceptance of the grievance. 2. Forward a copy of the grievance statement and any attachments to the respondents at the respondent's last known address or the address maintained in the U.S. figure skating database or to the respondent's representative, if such representative is known to U.S. figure skating. This will constitute notice. The person responsible for sending the documents to the respondent must use any expeditious delivery system that provides reasonable evidence of delivery to the addressee, which will constitute proof that notice of the grievance was given to the respondent, and 3. Name a hearing panel and forward grievance statement to each panel member. d. If the Grievance Committee Chair determines that the grievance statement does not comply with all applicable requirements, the Grievance Committee Chair must notify the grievant The notice must be in writing and explain the basis for the decision. The notice must be sent by any expeditious delivery system that provides reasonable evidence of delivery to the addressee. Within 2 weeks of receipt of the grievance statement. The grievant shall have no more than 2 weeks from receipt of such notice to amend the grievance statement so that it complies with applicable by-law requirements. The grievance committee chair shall forward a copy of the returned grievance and decision statement to the vice presidents for their consideration under U.S. figure skating bylaws and rules. U.S. figure skating and PSA combined grievance. If a grievance is filed against a U.S. figure skating member who is also a member of the Professional Skaters Association, PSA, and the alleged violation pertains to the respondent's actions in a coaching capacity, the grievance committee chair must notify the PSA Professional Standards Committee chair with a copy of the grievance statement. The grievance committee chair and the PSA Professional Standards Committee chair must decide whether to proceed with the matter as a combined grievance under Article 25 of the U.S. Figure Skating Bylaws. If the grievance committee chair and the PSA Professional Standards Committee chair decide not to proceed with the matter as a combined grievance, the grievance committee chair must process the grievance statement in accordance with the U.S. Figure Skating Bylaws and Grievance and Ethics Committee rules. When the grievance committee chair and PSA Professional Standards Committee chair determine that the grievance will proceed as a combined grievance, the grievance committee chair and the PSA Professional Standards Committee chair must process the combined grievance as follows. 1. If the combined grievance proceeds to a hearing, the grievance committee chair selects a hearing panel in accordance with GCR 3.04. At least 1/3 of the hearing panel members must be current PSA and U.S. figure skating members. 2. The PSA Professional Standards Committee chair participates in the combined grievance process as an oversight official and as representative of the PSA. 3. The hearing must follow U.S. figure skating bylaws, and grievance committee and ethics committee rules and procedures. 4. A hearing panel decision is effective under both U.S. figure skating bylaws and grievance and ethics committee rules and PSA rules. Any appeal therefrom may be taken in accordance with those rules. 5. An appeal within U.S. figure skating may be filed in accordance with Article 25, Section 1, C, and D, of the U.S. Figure Skating Bylaws and the Grievance Committee Rules. GCR 3.03 Respondent's reply to grievance statement. A. The respondent may file a response to the grievance statement with the grievant and the grievance committee chair. If filed, the response must be in writing, signed under oath and notarized. The respondent may also include supporting documentation with the response. The response must be filed within 30 days after delivery of the grievance statement to the address of the respondent on file at U.S. Figure Skating Headquarters by any expeditious delivery system that provides reasonable evidence of delivery. B. Failure to file a response constitutes an admission of the allegations made by the grievant and waives the respondent's right to a hearing or appeal. After such an admission, the grievance committee chair will recommend appropriate relief to the board of directors and seek their agreement. If the board concurs, the grievance committee chair's decision is final, binding, and may not be appealed under the bylaws and rules of U.S. figure skating. GCR 3.04 Hearing Panel Composition. A referral to hearing panel. After receiving a timely response, the grievance committee chair must deliver the grievance statement and the response to the hearing panel. B. The hearing panel must consist of at least 3 and no more than 9 persons. The grievance committee chair may select members from the grievance committee or ethics committee, athlete representatives, who meet the qualifications in U.S. Figure Skating Bylaws. Article 21, must constitute at least 20% of the hearing panel. C. The grievance committee chair may appoint a person who is not a member of U.S. figure skating. No more than 1/3 of the hearing panel may be non-members of U.S. figure skating. The grievance committee chair selects the hearing panel chair. D. The grievance committee chair must advise the grievant, respondent, U.S. figure skating president, secretary and administrative, legal group coordinator of the names of the hearing panel members promptly upon their appointment. Such notice may be verbal, but must be promptly confirmed in writing. Either the grievant or the respondent may request the replacement of a hearing panel member. Such a request may be made solely on the basis of an alleged conflict of interest. The request must be in writing and delivered to the grievance committee chair within 10 days of receipt of the names of the hearing panel members. The request must specify the basis for the request and provide all evidence supporting the request. The grievance committee chair must, within 5 days of receipt of a request for removal, determine whether to grant the request and must notify the parties, the U.S. figure skating secretary and the administrative, legal group coordinator of the decision in writing. If the grievance committee chair finds a conflict of interest, the grievance committee chair must appoint a replacement. The grievance committee chair's decision is final, binding, and may not be appealed under the bylaws and rules of U.S. figure skating. GCR 3.05 Hearing Guidelines. A. The grievance committee chair, after consultation with the parties, shall determine if the hearing will be conducted by writing, telephone conference, hearing or any combination thereof. The hearing or completion of the investigation must occur within 90 days of the appointment of a hearing panel unless the hearing panel chair and the grievance committee chair concurrently decide that there are reasonable grounds for a delay, grant a reasonable delay, and notify the parties of the delay, and the reasons for it in writing. B. The grievant and respondent may represent themselves throughout the grievance process, or may be represented by a person of their choice. C. The hearing panel chair will provide the grievant, the respondent and the panel members with written procedures and guidelines to be followed. D. All communications with the hearing panel must be in writing and directed to the chair of the hearing panel. E. The hearing panel chair must ensure that a record of the hearing is made. F. The grievant has the burden of supporting the grievance by a preponderance of the evidence. G. Within 20 days of the conclusion of a hearing, the hearing panel must issue a written decision including findings of fact, the bylaws or rules upon which the decision is based and the reasoning behind the decision. The decision must be sent to the grievance committee chair, grievant, respondent and the U.S. figure skating president, secretary and administrative/legal group coordinator by any expeditious delivery system that provides reasonable evidence of delivery. H. The jurisdiction of the hearing panel ceases, and hearing panel members shall be discharged when the written decision is issued. GCR 3.06 Stipulated resolution of a grievance. A. The grievant, respondent and the grievance committee chair may informally discuss the grievance and reach a resolution to the grievance prior to the hearing panel actually hearing the grievance. If a resolution is voluntarily reached by the grievant and respondent, which is approved by the grievance committee chair, the resolution will be submitted to the board of directors for their concurrence. B. If the grievant is U.S. figure skating, then the stipulated resolution of the grievance must be agreed to by the respondent, the president of U.S. figure skating and the executive director of U.S. figure skating. The stipulated resolution of such a grievance will be submitted to the board of directors for its concurrence. C. If the grievance is a combined grievance pursuant to GCR 3.03(e), then the stipulated resolution of the grievance must be agreed to by the respondent, the grievant, the president of U.S. figure skating, the executive director of U.S. figure skating, the executive director of the Professional Skaters Association and the Professional Skaters Association's Professional Standards Committee chair. The stipulated resolution of such a grievance will be submitted to the board of directors for its concurrence. GCR 4.00 Selection of persons to serve on hearing panels. GCR 4.01 The grievance committee chair shall select persons to serve on hearing panels in accordance with the provisions of Articles 21 and 25 of the U.S. figure skating bylaws. GCR 4.02 The grievance committee chair shall make every effort to ensure that all members of the grievance committee serve on a hearing panel in a given year before any member is assigned to serve on more than one hearing panel. GCR 5.00 Expedited procedures. GCR 5.01 Scope. The following rules apply to grievance and disciplinary proceedings when compliance with regular procedures contained in Article 25, Section 1, of the U.S. Figure Skating Bylaws would not be likely to produce a sufficiently early decision to do justice to the affected parties. GCR 5.02 Expedited Hearing Panels. Expedited hearing panels shall exist to hear grievance and disciplinary matters referred to in Article 25, Section 1, A, and B, of the U.S. Figure Skating Bylaws and these Grievance Committee rules. Expedited hearing panels must consist of at least 3 members including 1 athlete member. These persons may be members or non-members of U.S. figure skating. However, non-members of U.S. figure skating must not exceed 1/3 of any panel. The Grievance Committee chair must select the hearing panel chair. The expedited hearing panel's jurisdiction ceases, and expedited hearing panel members are discharged when a written decision is issued. GCR 5.03 Appointment of expedited hearing panel members. Expedited hearing panels for qualifying competitions and competitions protected under the USAC Constitution and the Ted Stevens Olympic and Amateur Sports Act. 1. The Grievance Committee chair annually selects a chair and 2 additional members of separate expedited hearing panels to hear grievance or disciplinary matters regarding the participation of a competitor in a U.S. figure skating qualifying competition or other competitions protected by the USAC Constitution and the Ted Stevens Olympic and Amateur Sports Act, including each U.S. figure skating national, sectional and regional competition, domestic competition, and all world, Olympic and international competitions. 2. The selection and naming of the expedited hearing panel for the specified competitions shall occur annually, and the names of the expedited hearing panel's members must be available on request from U.S. Figure Skating Headquarters. 3. No U.S. figure skating judge may serve on any expedited hearing panel convened under this section. 4. If the jurisdiction of an expedited hearing panel is challenged because a grievance or disciplinary proceeding is initiated between competitions, or otherwise, the Grievance Committee chair determines which expedited hearing panel will preside. Such decision is final, binding and not appealable under the U.S. Figure Skating Bylaws and Rules. B. All other expedited hearing panels. 1. The Grievance Committee chair selects a chair and 2 additional members to hear grievance or disciplinary matters other than those specified under GCR 5.03 on a case-by-case basis in accordance with Article 25 of the U.S. Figure Skating Bylaws and those Grievance Committee rules. GCR 5.04 Expedited Hearing Procedures. Filing a request for an expedited hearing for qualifying competitions and competitions protected under the USAC Constitution or the Ted Stevens Olympic and Amateur Sports Act. 1. Any aggrieved U.S. figure skating member, member club or the Ethics Committee chair, the grievant, may initiate a grievance or disciplinary proceeding on an expedited basis pursuant to Article 25, Section 1, of the U.S. Figure Skating Bylaws by notifying the Grievance Committee chair verbally as soon as the substance of the grievance or disciplinary matter becomes known, followed within 24 hours by a written grievance statement. The verbal notice must include a statement of fact, including the alleged harm or potential harm to the grievant. B. The bylaws or rules allegedly violated. C. The member or member club allegedly violating the bylaws or rules, respondent. D. The specific relief requested. The written grievance statement must include all of the above elements, and must be signed by the grievant and notarized under penalty of perjury. 2. Upon verbal notice, the Grievance Committee chair must promptly notify the respondent, the appropriate hearing panel, the Competitions Committee chair and the chief referee of the subject competition, or, in the case of an international competition, the International Committee chair. 3. Upon receipt of the written grievance statement, the Grievance Committee chair must forward copies to the a. respondent, b. hearing panel members, c. Competitions Committee chair and chief referee, or the International Committee chair, and d. U.S. Figure Skating President, Secretary and Administrative, Legal Group Coordinator. 4. A hearing panel may not usurp the power of a referee as authorized in Rules 1210 and 1500 to 1505. B. Filing a request for an expedited hearing for all other matters. 1. If the Grievance Committee Chair determines that compliance with regular procedures would not likely produce a timely decision under the circumstances, any aggrieved U.S. figure skating member or member club or the Chair of the Ethics Committee, the grievant, may initiate a grievance or disciplinary proceeding on an expedited basis pursuant to Article 25, Section 1, of the U.S. Figure Skating Bylaws by notifying the Grievance Committee Chair in writing as soon as the substance of the grievance or disciplinary matter becomes known. Such notice must include a concise statement of fact including the alleged harm to the grievant. B. The bylaws or rules allegedly violated. C. The member or member club allegedly violating such bylaws or rules, respondent. D. The specific relief requested, and E. The notarized signature of the grievant under penalty of perjury. 2. Upon such notice, the Grievance Committee Chair must promptly appoint an expedited hearing panel and must promptly notify the respondent, the chair of any U.S. Figure Skating Committee affected and the U.S. Figure Skating President, Secretary and Administrative, Legal Group Coordinator. C. The expedited hearing. 1. The expedited hearing panel will conduct the hearing on an expedited basis in any manner the Grievance Committee Chair deems reasonable and necessary under the particular circumstances. 2. The expedited hearing panel chair must advise all parties of the procedures to be followed. 3. The decision of the hearing panel may be announced verbally as soon as a decision is reached. A written decision, including findings of fact, the bylaws or rules upon which the decision is based and the reason for the decision must be promptly issued no later than 10 days after the hearing. The verbal and written decision must be provided to the grievant, respondent, U.S. Figure Skating President, Secretary, Administrative, Legal Group Coordinator and the Grievance Committee Chair. GCR 6.00 Appeal from decisions of expedited hearing panels. GCR 6.01 Appeal from decisions of expedited hearing panels for qualifying competitions and competitions protected under the USAC Constitution and the Ted Stevens Olympic and Amateur Sports Act, GCR 5.04, A. Appeals from the decision of an expedited hearing panel may be taken directly to the appellate panel by verbal notice, followed within 24 hours by written notice, to the Grievance Committee Chair, the U.S. Figure Skating Secretary and the Administrative, Legal Group Coordinator. The appellate panel will conduct an expedited appeal on such a basis as it deems reasonable and necessary under the particular facts and circumstances in order to afford the affected parties an opportunity to be heard. B. The appellate panel's decision is final, binding and not reviewable, unless the decision involves the opportunity of any eligible athlete, coach, trainer, manager, administrator or official to participate in athletic competition as protected by the USAC Constitution, in which event, upon demand of the affected person, the decision of the appellate panel may be submitted to arbitration by any party in accordance with the rules of the American Arbitration Association. Such arbitration shall be conducted at the office of the American Arbitration Association nearest to U.S. Figure Skating headquarters unless the parties otherwise agree. The party against whom the decision is rendered must bear the cost of the American Arbitration Association and any charges of the arbitrator, except as otherwise agreed by the parties. GCR 6.02 Appeals from decision of expedited hearing panels for all other matters. A. No appeals may be taken within U.S. Figure Skating from any decision of an expedited hearing panel arising under GCR 5.04. B. The decision of such hearing panels is final, binding and not appealable under the U.S. Figure Skating bylaws and rules. GCR 7.00 Conflicts. GCR 7.01 Notwithstanding any other rules regarding action on protests, complaints or grievances at a competition or otherwise, on an expedited basis, if conflicts are deemed to exist between these Grievance Committee rules and such other rules, these Grievance Committee rules control. GCR 8.00 Fees, Costs and Expenses. GCR 8.01 Unless otherwise provided for by law or agreed to by the parties, each party shall bear their own fees, costs and expenses of any proceeding under the U.S. figure skating bylaws or rules. No party is entitled to reimbursement from another, including from U.S. figure skating, for fees, costs or expenses associated with any proceedings under the U.S. figure skating bylaws or rules. This rule does not prohibit a hearing panel from assessing fees, costs and expenses if the panel determines that an assessment is an appropriate sanction against a party to a grievance or disciplinary proceeding. GCR 9.00 Confidentiality, Publication. GCR 9.01 Confidentiality concerning the subject matter of a grievance and of the grievance proceeding must be maintained by all parties and participants until the grievance process is final. GCR 9.02 The identity of all grievance hearing panelists and non-party witnesses must at all times remain confidential and must not be divulged by any party or witness unless a panelist or non-party witness expressly consents in writing to publish their name. GCR 9.03 Once a final decision is issued, U.S. figure skating must publish the following information in Skating Magazine and on usfigureskating.org. 1. The name of the grievant and respondent. 2. The nature of the grievance and the U.S. figure skating by a law or rule alleged to have been violated. 3. The outcome of the grievance and discipline imposed, if any. B. When a grievance is resolved by stipulated resolution that includes, as a part of the stipulated resolution, discipline of the respondent involving suspension or termination of respondent's U.S. figure skating membership. U.S. figure skating must publish the following information in Skating Magazine and on usfigureskating.org. 1. The name of the grievant and respondent. 2. The nature of the grievance and the U.S. figure skating by a law or rule alleged to have been violated. 3. The outcome of the grievance and discipline imposed, if any. GCR 9.04 Notwithstanding the foregoing rules, the grievance hearing panel may impose confidentiality restrictions or other limitations on the ability of the parties, witnesses or other participants in the grievance proceeding to divulge information relative to the grievance proceeding, if the hearing panel determines that circumstances warrant such restriction. GCR 9.05 The confidentiality rules set forth herein are not intended to prevent a party to a grievance proceeding from disclosing information relative to the grievance proceeding if properly pursuing remedies legally available to such party in a forum in which the party in good faith believes there is proper jurisdiction. GCR 10.00 Reciprocity with other organizations. A duly imposed disciplinary decisions of another organization against a member of U.S. figure skating will be honored by U.S. figure skating, except on a case-by-case basis, if necessary in order to comply with any applicable law, rule or requirement to which U.S. figure skating is subject, including the Ted Stevens Olympic and Amateur Sports Act or the bylaws of the United States Olympic Committee, or unless there are extenuating circumstances or compelling reasons for U.S. figure skating not to follow the disciplinary action of the other organization. B. The disciplinary decision will be reviewed by the Administrative, Legal Group Coordinator, the Grievance Committee Chair, and the Ethics Committee Chair to determine if any of the exceptions to granting reciprocity apply. C. In the event the disciplinary decision is granted reciprocity, the person who is subject to the decision may appeal under the provision of Article 25, Section 1, C, of the U.S. figure skating bylaws.